This is Jasmine with Listen to Your Single Friend. We're going to be talking about the good, the bad, and the lonely. Welcome, friends. This is the first episode, so I'm going to start off just giving you guys a little bit of background. I'm Jasmine Caress, writer and event planner extraordinaire. It's so funny because my life is like dual. It's one side I'm all weddings, couples, love is patient, love is kind, and next thing I'm like team single. Fuck these dudes. That man don't deserve you, sis. But really, I'm just here to lend an ear. If you want to vent or complain about dating, or you need some encouragement or positive vibes for however long you've been living this single life. As I mentioned in the trailer, the title of the show is a misnomer. So a lot of people ask me questions about that. My thing is just that someone's relationship status does not tell me anything about their level of happiness and more specifically about the quality of their advice. I don't take advice from people just because they're married or in a relationship or have been in a relationship for a long time. And I also don't assume that, single people have no value to add to the advice arena. So that's why we're here. I just hated the idea that single people can't talk about what we know, which is how to be single. We do this every day. So I've been single for a decade, 10 years, and I'm really just here to pop my shit. But I hope we can share some laughs and you guys can learn from my wisdom, my mistakes, and my learning lessons. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about self care and settling and what the hell they have to do with each other. Keep the conversation going on with us on Instagram and Facebook. That is at Listen to Your Single Friend. On IG, on Facebook, it is facebook.com/ Listen to Your Single Friend. On Twitter, I had to shorten the at because obviously that title is long as hell. So the Twitter at is your single friend, but friend is spelled FRND. And make sure to tune in to our accounts on Fridays for Screenshot Friday because shit gets real, okay? If you have not seen or witnessed Screenshot Friday, people send in their screenshots and different interactions they've had with people they're dating or trying to get to know. And we basically just weigh in on the craziness. So Fridays is definitely the day to be around on our socials. Make sure to sign up for the book mailing list to get information on release dates, pre-orders, the whole nine. You should know, you should listen to the trailer, but Listen to Your Single Friend is actually a book I've been writing since 2018. So go ahead to the website, drop your email. ListenToYourSingleFriend.com is the website. So, for our first segment, we're going to do the quote of the day. I'm always going to start you guys off with some positive vibes and some good energy with everything that goes on in the world. Plus, living a single life, not always having a go to person to speak with about how you're feeling on the day to day. You need some good energy. You can always use some positive vibes. So, the quote of the day is you deserve the world even if it means giving it to yourself. And that just gave me such warm and fuzzies because when you're single, you really are out here in the trenches doing it by yourself. And too often I hear women say, I'm looking for my other half. You do, relationships are great. But you're going to hear me say often, they're a cherry on top of an already fulfilled and an already happy life. You deserve the world and your life, it just doesn't start the moment you get a partner. It starts now. It starts daily. You have to choose you daily and give yourself the world daily. So I just don't like y'all out here waiting to get the person, get the guy so that your life can start. It's started, it's here, you're lit and you're fabulous. You deserve the world. Give it to yourself. Now it's time for goals or goofies, which is where we talk about anything recent and relevant that's come up in dating world, singles world, pop culture. This segment, we're going to respond to social media nonsense, viral memes, celeb relationships, and basically just answer the question, is this relationship goals or is this shit for the birds? Are they some goofies? So, the day before Election Day, this man got on Al Gore's internet and he said the following. This is actually a tweet, so I'm not going to give you guys his ad name. You probably have already seen this. I did post it on Insta Stories last week, but you guys probably already saw it. So I'm not going to give his ad name, but this was a tweet that went crazy, crazy viral. And this is what he said. Still can't believe I spent $150 on dinner and didn't dot dot dot. Yeah, I roll. Even bought flowers. I'm done being the nice guy. And then he puts a evil emoji. So I wanted to respond to this because this is ridiculous. But men be thinking like this, and we end up on the receiving end of just entitled men thinking that they took us on some measly date and they deserve something. You do not deserve sex simply for paying for dinner. You do not deserve sex for any reason other than a woman saying you can get sex. But doing all these things to get sex and then throwing a tantrum like a little brat at the end of it because you didn't get it says everything we need to know about your character. And first of all, $150 is not that much for a date. Divided by two drinks, you had a meal, maybe appetizer, you might have shared appetizer, I don't know, possibly dessert. Like, it's really not like that expensive of a date. Some of the fellas are gonna disagree with me on that. But honestly, $150 is not that expensive of a date. So he was doing too much in the first place. I am a big proponent of if you don't have it to spend, you need a date in your date range. If you want to spend $50 on a date, you need to date in that lane, okay? If $150 got you pressed, you need to date in your budget. But also, even bought flowers. Excuse the hell out of me. Like, he just made it seem like he just rolled out the red carpet. This is the bare fucking minimum. You take a lady on a date, you be nice, you treat her. You don't deserve sex from that though. You don't deserve anything. And then the last part, I'm done being the nice guy. Men who tell you that they are nice guys have issues. Men who tell you that they are nice guys have issues because truly nice men, and I'm grateful to have and to know men who are truly nice. They don't go around telling you they're nice and then acting like they deserve something. You should be a good person. You should be nice. You should treat people with respect and care. You should do all of these things. You don't deserve treats or pats on the back or rewards just for being a nice person. But bigger picture, if you went on a date, you spent $150 and you decided I didn't get any sex, so I'm not going to be a nice guy anymore. You weren't a nice guy to begin with. So the problem is you. The problem is you and your expectations on dating. I don't know why men put value on sex in this way and don't just go pay for a hooker. Like, you want to date normal girls, but then you want to put prices on their vagina and get mad. Dating is not a service. There are women, we support sex workers here. There are women who will give you the services that you seek. Okay? I don't know how much they charge, but they will give you the services that you seek. But y'all be going to normal women and then getting an attitude because, like, you're investing. I don't know. This was just real ghetto. And it just got me upset. So the verdict is in. He's definitely a goofy. This is nonsense. You don't deserve anything. $150 is not that big of a deal for a dinner date. You don't deserve sex. You don't deserve anything simply because you're nice. And you probably aren't nice. And let me go back to the nice thing, because that nice thing just gets me every time. A lot of guys who tell you they're nice, 9 times out of 10 are assholes, like true assholes. And they'll go around and say, I'm such a nice guy, and why don't women X, Y, and Z? No, you're not a nice guy. You're an asshole. And a lot of times, and I will even say this, sometimes women, we will stop dealing with a guy and just say, oh, but you were so nice. Ladies, stop telling these men that they are nice. You stop talking to him because he was inconsistent. You stopped talking to him because he was too much in your grill. You stopped talking to him because he was too passive. You stopped talking to him because he was annoying. You stopped talking to him for all these reasons that had nothing to do with him being nice. But either way, this whole nice guy, ugh, run for the hills, run for the hills. I stand by that. The next thing I wanted to discuss was the Birkin bag drama. Y'all went crazy on the internet about this Birkin bag stuff. I can't even afford to be talking about a Birkin bag, but it just went so crazy on the internet. So I just wanted to address that bit. Basically, Sweetie is a rapper and she posted a video on Instagram and she said that, if a guy isn't buying you Birkin bags, if he's not paying your rent, if he's not doing this and that for you, then he's not the one. Send him back to the streets, is what she said verbatim. But basically, she's saying he's not the one. So a lot of folks got upset about this. I don't understand why, because what did that got to do with y'all? She set her standard. She's specific about what she wants, and she got a partner that's doing that. Why does what the next woman, want to do or the standard she sets for herself, like, why does that make y'all upset? If you don't want Birkin bags, like, it's fine. And if you a guy and you don't want to buy Birkin bags and date girls who don't want Birkin bags, like, this whole conversation was never, at least to me, it was never about Birkin bags. It was about a woman who was very clear on her standards. She knows them, she sets those boundaries, and she dates a partner who agrees with said boundaries. That's on her. If that's what she wants, that's cool. Like, I'm not gonna sit up here and say that a woman's standards is unrealistic. I'm gonna say, do you, girl? And I hope that you find a partner that, aligns with that. That's my only wish for women. I want you to have your standards and find a partner that aligns with the things that you want and the things that you value. That's what she values, and she got a man that's doing that for her. So I just need people to focus on the bigger picture. Set your standards and date in your lane. I'm not mad at Sweetie at all. In my opinion, this is goals. Set those standards, ladies. Let those men fall in line. It's time for our main segment. The title of the show, the running title is Joan Clayton is Right. Settling is self care. And so I don't wish y'all to drag me before y'all. Like, some people aren't going to listen to the episode and see the title and they're going to be ready to drag me. Like, I need y'all to hear me out, okay? So Netflix, shout out to Netflix bringing back all of our cult classics and our favorites. They brought back Girlfriends, and I felt better than everybody because I had Girlfriends on DVD and I binge watched it 2 years ago. But I did kind of feel behind because everybody was like getting to know the girls all over again, and yeah, I had to I felt left out in some of the conversations because I did watch it 2 years ago. So if you don't watch the show or, you don't really remember, Joan Clayton is the lead, played by Tracy Ellis Ross, and she's known for being this holiday loving, professional, successful woman, but sis has men problems, okay? Joan has issues. And a lot of her dating woes were due to insecurities, projection, and John self-sabotaged a lot. Honestly, I could do a whole episode on like Joan herself. Um and I do think that towards the end of the series she starts to come to terms with her behavior. But what I want to talk about today is a clip from one of the earlier seasons, episode 22 in season 2, where Joan gives this speech to her friend Tony. So I'm gonna give you guys some background of the episode for those of you who don't watch or don't remember. So Joan's ex comes back to town, and this is an ex that they had agreed if he came back to town, they were gonna get back together, which ugh, just bad idea. But they agreed to reconnect if he was going to be local again. And when he got back, she was really, really devastated that he did not want to get back together. And in Joan's defense, he was kind of an asshole because he lied about being engaged, which was pretty fucked up. So she was just completely upset about the situation. She wasn't she wasn't waiting around for him to get back, but she kind of was. And so she had been casually seeing this young guy, and she planned to break her. She had a 3 month sex rule and the 90-day rule, basically. She had a 90-day rule when it comes to sex. And so she's just like completely upset about the situation and decides that she's going to break her 90-day rule. When she gets home, BFF Tony is waiting with her like a good girlfriend's supposed to. Got the drinks, got food, ready to just help Joan through this breakup. And the younger guy, his name is Chris, he comes in and Tony is like, "What the hell? Like, what are you doing?" And she basically gives, Joan hell about why she's about to hook up with this dude that absolutely does not deserve her. So I'm gonna play the clip and let you guys listen, and then we're gonna get into it.
Joan, honey. No, no. I cannot sit here and talk about what happened tonight, okay? I know what you're gonna say. You're gonna say that I'm fine. Just be yourself. But being myself lands me where I've always been, Tony. Alone.
Oh, Joan, you're fine. Just be yourself. Well, you know what? Good advice is good advice.
Sweetie, I'm scared, okay? And at this moment, everything in me really just wants to run and hide. So please, please, just let me have him. Because he wants me. And at this moment, all that I want to feel is wanted.
That was so sad. I honestly I felt for Joan because what she was saying was truly relatable. We're not here to judge, okay? I completely understand where she was coming from, but I do want to break down that whole little dialogue. So, first things first, the Tony thing. Tony, she wasn't being a good friend. She pulled up with the breakup kid. She was ready, to like be there for her girl that night. But something funny that happened in that clip is something that happens to singles all the time. When I am dealing with, a guy that's not being consistent or a guy that's not, showing up for me the way that I want him to, or he's not interested, or I got ghosted, or whatever the case may be, I may be sad, I may be down and out. Um, and too often people give the same old reject sorry ass lines over and over. Just focus on yourself. The right one will show up when you just do X, Y, and Z, or when you're not looking, that's when that person will find you. And for my non-single friends or for anybody period, just stop saying that shit to single people. Like, it's so frustrating because we see people who are dating and happy and in relationships, and y'all didn't do all this self work before y'all got your partners. People just get lucky, people just get lucky and they find their person, and it's beautiful and it's wonderful. But for those of us who have not found our person yet and we're going through the drama that is dating and breaking up and dating again and starting over and dipping back to an ex and all the back and forth and up and down, like telling me it'll all work out when I do some never ending self work is BS, like telling me, the same old stuff over and over again is super frustrating. Just be there, listen, support us. But I did like that Joan kind of told Tony, like, you're just gonna tell me the same stuff. And that's how singles be feeling. Stop telling me the same stuff. Like, and I get why people do it because you don't have the answers and you want your friend to be happy and you don't know what to do and you don't know what to say. I'm telling you right now, just stop with the whole work on yourself spiel that y'all give the folks cuz yeah, we working on ourselves. We promise. Like and people can people are constantly reinventing themselves. I think the theory is like every 5 years like you're basically like reinventing yourself or like having some significant growth or whatever. So we're always working on ourselves. But yeah, I really like that first part because that is something that happens a lot. So please, please, please stop doing that to us, okay? I do like what Tony did in this scene though, because right after the end of that part of the clip, she absolutely supports Joan and she just understands and she didn't judge her. And that was just super, super important in that moment because it's what Joan needed. Even though Tony didn't agree, she knew in that moment it's what Joan wanted. And she wasn't judgmental, and oftentimes, especially me, because I give so many people advice, I get frustrated, like, don't do this, or you're gonna feel heartache, or that person's not gonna respond the way you want them to, or you're gonna cause yourself more drama. Like, we do get frustrated, and just like, you're doing exactly what the hell I told you not to do. But I really liked in that moment that Tony did support her friend. And the big thing is, sometimes a supportive friend, a listening ear, showing up with liquor and baked goods, sometimes that's just not enough for people. Like, there's this thing that I like to call intimacy deficiency. And for the purposes of anything you hear me talk about, when I talk about intimacy, I don't just mean sex. I mean emotional support, non sexual physical contact, attention, affection, the whole nine. Something that a lot of singles deal with, or every single deals with intimacy deficiency. I want some attention. I want someone to love on me. I want someone, to like me. I want someone to want me. That's the exact words that Joan used. I want to feel wanted, you know? And so intimacy deficiency gets us in a lot of trouble because we are lacking something specific. And so this is in the form of, dry spells. Quarantine has been going on how many months now? Honestly, I lost count. But think about it. People have been single. If they were started the year single, quarantine started in March. And for those of us who are truly quarantining or quarantining with a little splash of friends here and there, um, it's rough. You know what I mean? Like, it's really, really rough when, you know, you don't have anyone to lean on or anyone to connect with and a way that's not just platonic. This this went viral because so many people could relate, Like rejection after rejection, false starts, which is something that happens to me a lot, I'll make a good connection, and I'll think that things are going good, but things just crash and burn. Or people, some people get into actual relationships, but it doesn't have any depth or longevity. And this is what I mean when I talk about the good, the bad, and the lonely. Sometimes you just want somebody that wants to talk to you, or wants to hold your hand, or just wants to sit with you and cuddle and watch a movie. Or let's be real, sometimes you just want somebody that wants your lady parts. I mean, let's keep it real. It's so, even the most fulfilled single, including myself, is just like, damn, can I just like go out with somebody that texts me back? Like, we talk about the bare minimum, but damn, sometimes when it's been months and it's just guy after guy after guy and it's the same shit over and over and over again, like it gets frustrating. And it does feel desperate sometimes, and it just feels really, really hopeless. Um, but sometimes we just have an itch that needs to be scratched, and sometimes it's just like I something's got to give. That's the feelings that you get, and in that moment, Joan was all there. She was just like she had it. She had a very traumatic situation with the ex, and emotionally traumatic situation with the ex, and she was just tired. And sometimes we get tired, y'all. Sometimes we really do get tired. Like, I'm a very happy single, but especially with quarantine and not being able to go out and just, meet a guy at the bar and just hang out. It don't even have to be somebody that I talk to, but just not having that level of intimacy, it's just hard. So sometimes shit be feeling hopeless, and y'all can call Joan desperate, but the shit that she was saying was real. So what do we do? What happened when you're just feeling, you know, all kinds of hopeless and just, you just don't see any positive endings in the people that you're dealing with, and talking to your family, talking to your friends isn't enough. They're either giving you that same old lame ass advice, or it's just nothing that they can do. You know what I mean? And it's a hard reality to face, but it happens. So what do people do? They settle. And so this is why I titled the episode what I did, because sometimes it just is what it is. Like, in that moment, that was what Joan needed. And you look at that and you're just like, girl, how could you stoop so low? But it happens. It happens, y'all. And I'm not going to sit up here and judge people for that. Like, sometimes we got to move our boundaries out the way, unfortunately, just to see why we needed them in the first place. With the situation with Joan, the young guy, his name was Chris, they did not have the same lifestyle. He was several years younger than her. I think he like worked in the mailroom at her law firm. Um, but he just represents like the feelings of desire and intimacy that Joan and a lot of singles like long for. And like I said, it's not always sexual. And that for her it was, but it also wasn't. It was an emotional thing. She just wanted to feel wanted. Um, but weighing the scales of like desire and versus what is right. Like, this is what I desire, this is what I want, but is that going to serve me ultimately? Is this what's right? And sometimes what's right is just not always gonna win, y'all. Like, what's right is just not gonna come out on top sometimes. It just is what it is. Especially when you've been quarantining since March, and the only man that has looked at you in the last, I think it's been 9 months, and the last 9 months is the guy behind the meat counter. Like, I get it, and I'm not gonna sit up here and judge Sean and any or all of the single people who have a moment. Okay? But the important part here is that sometimes settling leaves you much worse off than you were when you were just feeling unwanted and alone. Okay? This site, Listen to Your Single Friend, exists because I decided a long time ago, y'all, like, I would rather be single than settle. Like, I might do some merch. Like, I honestly, truly just feel like, you know, based on the things that I've been through and things that I've dealt with, like, it's just not worth it to settle. But I understand why people do it, and I've done it in the past. It is what it is. In dating and love, Everything isn't black and white. Yes, you should have self-esteem. Yes, you should not just be throwing your lady parts at a guy because you're feeling down in a moment. Like, yes, you should feel confident enough in your singleness and knowing that the right person's going to show up at the right time. But this is real life. Everything's not black and white. We get weak, we get angry, we lust, we hurt. The flesh is weak. Like, we're going to have our moments. So, cool. Pull a Joan. Fine. Break your rules, ease up on your boundaries, let that man text you or never call you, go over and chill when you know he need to be taking you on a date. Do it. Okay? And settling is not just hooking up either. It's not just the one night stands. It's easing up on those little boundaries that you have too. But be very clear. Settling is a band-aid, it is not a solution, and it is not a goal. It is short-lived, it is momentary. You gonna get off the phone with your ex feeling confused, or you gonna get in that Uber after the one night stand wondering what the hell did I just do? Um and also, you might not regret a damn thing. You know what I mean? You might say, "Hey, I did it. I'm happy with what happened." You got your fix. The attention, the conversation, the dinner, the sex. You got it. But can you stop there? Overindulging in forms of self-care has its consequences. Like, let's say you had a hard day at work and you need to get you a drink or two. I mean, it happens like that sometimes. But you know that making this a habit every day after a work day, that can lead to a problem. Or, like, let's say you've been killing it with your health regimen and you decided you're not going to skip dessert today. You're going to have your dessert. But if you make this a regular thing and you can't stop not skipping dessert, um, that's not conducive to your lifestyle and to your workout and to your diet. Or like last week, for example, let's say you were a mess through the election week, anxiety through the roof, and you're like, I deserve a stress reliever. Like, I need some retail therapy. And I am specifically talking about myself here because this is exactly what I did. And let's say you decide to shop. But long term, if this is always your reaction when you're not feeling well or when you're feeling great, creating a habit is just not going to be helpful to you if it's not a healthy habit or if it's not actually resolving the issues and the tension that you feel in your life. Like, it's like the chicken pox. Like, sometimes, like I said, you have an itch that you have to scratch, and scratching once or twice is okay. But scratching too much, you're gonna tear your skin up. You're gonna get scars. Like, you're gonna mess your skin up, And I'm not judging y'all for scratching. But again, do you have the self control to stop? Can you deal with the aftermath? Can you stop at this one little indulgence? Is this gonna become a habit? These are the answers that you need to weigh when you're having a moment. Okay? Ultimately, the sources of these examples wasn't really addressed by the actions that were taken just to make yourself feel better in the moment. And in the bigger scheme of things, the root of this, the root of settling, honestly, is self esteem. I always say you can tell how a person feels about themselves by the way they let people treat them. Um, and when you love yourself, you know what you deserve and you know what you want. And when you get to that point, it's honestly going to weigh out any of like any of those feelings that you have when you're feeling weak. You may have that moment where you're just, I want to feel wanted, just like Joan. I mean, she did that. Like that scene was really impactful. But you may have that moment where you're like, I just want to feel wanted. God, I just want somebody to text me back on a regular basis. Like, I just want, someone to enjoy my conversation or my company. You may have those moments and feel weak, But, it gets to the point where you realize that it's just not worth it to settle. Um, and a lot of those weak moments, sometimes you can predict them. Like holidays and Valentine's Day are prime hunting season because that's when people are feeling super lonely, and your feelings of loneliness are magnified. Seeing those happy couples on Instagram sharing their first Christmas, or first Christmas as husband and wife, or first Christmas with a new baby, or whatever the case may be. The lonely feelings it just kind of gets worse than it was any other times, especially we're heading into holiday season. So take the necessary precautions, block those numbers, stay off socials, basically just drink your water and mind your business. And when I say mind your business, I mean like do the things that um do the things that are helpful to you and helpful to your energy and helpful to your spirit. Like, just don't find yourself like being distracted by all the goings ons around you. And you, like I said, you could just predict that. At least for me, let me speak for myself. um Social media is very difficult for me. I'm specifically gonna do a holiday episode, but I'll touch on it lightly right now. Social media specifically is really hard for me during holiday season, and I know that. It's not that I'm not happy for these couples. It's not that like, I don't want to see, the baby and their little onesies, my nieces and nephews, whatever the case may be. Like, it's not that I don't want to see that and I don't want to, enjoy that, but I do know that sometimes, you get to scrolling and it's like, I want, for those of us who want that, like, I want to be married. I want to have kids one day. And when your dating life is not going in the trajectory that, you know, is going to lead to that, it can be really, really, really frustrating. And those are the times where, you get them toxic holiday text messages, and you start thinking, did me and my ex really end on bad terms? You know what I mean? Like, you start to second guess yourself and decisions that you made in the past. Just because the opportunity presents itself doesn't mean you have to take it just because you can. And it took me settling a time or three or 10 for that to make sense. And, I had to learn it the hard way, like I said, and it just wasn't worth it in the long run for me because I did it, I've done it, and it's just not something I'm willing to do again. I'm not willing to compromise what I want because I need something in that moment. It's just not worth it for me in the long run. Temporary solutions are not like fixes. Um, just protect your peace, friends. I'll go ahead and wrap up this segment, but I just really, really wanted to talk about that, um, and talk about, how Joan's situation is something that happens to us a lot. And, it's okay. We're not going to judge you, but just weigh the consequences and just decide, is this moment of indulgence really, really worth it? This is your date tip of the week. Some of y'all are definitely still dating, which is good. You should be. Check out the blog on listentoyoursinglefriend.com. I did a whole series about quarantine dating. But my tip of this show is going to be bring your date a gift. Like, oh boy, in the goofy section, he was so upset about this flowers thing. But I thought about it and I was like, dang, I haven't gotten gifts or flowers in a really, really long time. So let's make that a thing. Let's not bitch about spending money on dates, but let's start bringing our dates flowers or something small and nice. My friend, the guy she's dating now, they had a discussion about cookies. I think it was like insomnia cookies or something like that. Um, and she really wanted some. And so he had ordered them and he brought it to her on the date. And I'm like, that's just such a small gesture. I don't know how much some cookies are, but it's just such a small, sweet gesture that like just shows that. you're interested. So, date tip of the week, bring your date a gift, guys. Like, go ahead and do it. Do the sweet thing, okay? Now it's time for Down in the DMs. This is my favorite segment on any form of a podcast. I love listener letters and advice segments because it's always funny or some kind of mess. And today we got mess. So again, this is Down in the DMs, your advice segment. You guys reach out to me on socials, and are always asking me questions about different things or topics that you want me to cover. So down in the DMs is where basically I answer your questions. If you want to send in a question or have me address a topic, please send a email to listen to your single friend at gmail.com and put down in the DMs in the subject. Please and thank you. So let's get into our letter of the week. This was emailed to me. She told me to call her Darlene. It says, "Hey, okay, so I met this guy and he's cool. And judging from our conversations, I can see that his dating values align with mine. For example, he doesn't believe in the woman ever picking up the tab, and he's all about catering to his woman. Sounds perfect, right? But here's the thing, after our first phone conversation, although a great conversation, there were times when he started crying when talking about certain things. He started crying when he talked about the passing of his mother, and he also broke down when he was talking about how Trump is putting Mexican children in cages. He admitted that he exudes some feminine energy. The crazy thing is, he's a psychotherapist, so I thought that would have meant he's good with holding down his emotions, but apparently he has no trouble letting it all out. I'm attracted to him, but it was a little off-putting to have a man crying over the phone, especially on our first phone conversation. He wants to take me to dinner this weekend, but I have a full week to decide whether or not I want to date him. Am I making a big deal out of this? Am I being a cold hearted bitch? Or should I be open to dating a man who has no problem expressing himself in that way, especially so soon? And is a crybaby man a deal breaker? So many questions. What should I do? Date him or cut him off? Thank you, Darlene, for the question. Darlene had reached out to me and sent me this email, and I did have to ask for some clarification because I felt like that there was a little bit more information that I needed to know in order to answer appropriately. Um, First things first, this this whole situation was just so odd. Like, we've all been on dates or talking to people, and they just gave you too much information way too soon. Somebody was just telling me about being out on a date, and like the person was telling them about like financial problems they were having. Like, some people just don't have a filter, and it's just not appropriate like when you first start seeing someone. So, I am very big on not being burdened by new people. I have a fulfilled life. I have friends. I have family. I got enough going on. And when it's a new person that I'm dating, I like to keep things light and I like to keep things fun. And so I'm not really, like, I'm sorry, but I'm just not really trying to like know all your baggage, especially on the first day. Like, I haven't even decided if I want to see you or, deal with you for real. So, no, I don't want to carry your burdens this early. However, I did ask Darlene for clarification because we need to give this man some grace because of the passing of his mother. So I did ask her when his mom died, and his mom died earlier this year. So I feel like he does deserve some grace in that aspect. I mean, anyone who's dealt with or has, friends or family who's dealt with the passing of a parent, that's just not something that people heal from. So I'm not gonna judge that man for crying about his mom. So we're gonna give him that. However, the Trump putting children in cages, yes, that's upsetting to all of us. Um, but just like to the point of tears, it just it's a little weird, it's a little alarming. Um And the fact that he is a psychotherapist, that's cool. I mean, clearly he's educated, clearly he's a professional, but y'all don't be getting fooled by people's titles. Most therapists need a therapist. I mean, I thought that was common knowledge. Most therapists have a therapist. Um, and the fact that he is in tune with his emotions is not a bad thing. I do want to make a quick sidebar about the feminine energy comment. Now, I've never heard a man say that. I've never heard a straight man say that. Um, so that's interesting. But with toxic masculinity, one thing that women complain about all the time is men don't the guy I'm seeing, he doesn't show me his emotions. He doesn't show me how he's feeling. He bottles it up all inside. I've never seen my boyfriend cry. I've never seen my husband cry. Like, you hear women make these comments all the time. So we as women, we do have to stop feeding into toxic masculinity and feeling like a man is not manly, or not like, let me not say manly. A man is not respectable enough if he shows qualities that we consider more reserved for women, such as crying and being emotional. Now, I would have questions about the whole exuding feminine energy comment, because I would need to know what that means, because unpacking masculine versus feminine energy, what do you consider feminine? I know traditionally society considers crying and emotions and, basically all the behaviors that he displayed. I know people consider that feminine, but I would be curious about what he meant by that exactly, and I would need to deep dive into that comment. Um all in all, your real question was, should you go on a date with him or not? I am always going to tell y'all to go on the damn date. I find that a lot of women make big deals about dates. Like, it's just not that serious when it comes to a date. Like, go get the drinks, or go have a meal, or go play top golf. It's just a fun time. It's just a chance for, you to get to know somebody, or you to just have fun for a few hours and connect with the person. It just doesn't have to be that big of a deal. And too many women reach out to me and they're like, well, I don't know if I want to go out with him. I'm looking for a husband, and the things I know so far, if it's in the early stages, you probably don't know much about a guy. It's just go on the date. It's just not that serious. Like, have fun. You can date intentionally and date for a husband and for marriage, but you still have to date. And unless y'all know something I don't know, husbands don't just be walking around with husband stamped on their forehead, specifically your husband. They don't always come packaged that way. If you need to read, cute, neat stories on the internet about how people met their spouses, I mean, talk to people, like, actually have conversations with people on how they met their partners. It's not always, he walked in a room and that was just it. It's not always like that. So, and that's my other sidebar is go on the damn date. I'm always going to tell y'all, albeit as long as a man is not showing like true crazy um emotions or behavior, go on a date. It's not that serious. It's really not. Now, going on a date with a man does not equal this is someone I need to be seeing, and this is someone I have to be interested in, and this is someone I have to be connected to. You don't have to do nothing but show up, ideally on time, give or take 5 to 15 minutes. But you don't have to do nothing but show up, be a good person, be pleasant, and entertain somebody for an hour or three. Like, just chill, go on a date, have fun. But this don't gotta be your man. And honestly, he has a lot of baggage, and I do feel bad for him about the mom thing, but I do feel bad for him about that, but it was just too soon. So the issue is not the things that he was clearly passionate about that got him upset. It's more so the timing of it. It's a red flag for me when people in general dump on you too early. Like, it's just always a red flag for me. So if you meet someone and all of a sudden they're telling you their whole life story and, just giving you all this baggage, I'm just really protective of like what I get and what I gather from people too soon. Um, but I know how to control that, and I know how to, make sure that it's not like affecting me, but just be mindful um of this going into the date. Hopefully he doesn't cry on the date. But if you want to go on the date, I would say try to do something fun and lighthearted. I wouldn't do dinner with this man, honestly. I probably would do a top golf or do some sort of or do bowling or do some form of activity. I honestly would do an activity with this guy. This is not the type of first date that I want to sit across and talk to you. Like, I want to go do something fun. Like, let's go to the hookah spot. Let's go turn up. Let's go, like, do some form of an activity so we don't have to sit across from each other and, like, think about all of our deep thoughts and our sorrows. Um, if a crybaby man is a deal breaker for you, that's a deal breaker. I mean, it just is what it is. As women, we do have to unpack this whole feminine energy versus masculine energy. But if you don't like a man who, shows his emotions, that's really up to you. Um, I wish you the best of luck. I don't think that this is a partner for you, because I can just tell by the way you wrote the email, you are attracted to him, but it sounds like you're pretty turned off at this point. So, if you do decide to go out on the date, have fun. Like, have fun. And he could be a friend. And he could be a friend that introduces you to someone who does make an impact on your dating life. So just don't be so quick to, cut people off, and I would be cautious about bringing this stuff up, but that's also why I said, don't do the dinner date. Like, don't be sitting down and, getting all deep into thoughts and stuff like that. So, I would actually love an update. So, Miss Eileen, if you want to write me back, I actually want to know what ends up happening with this. So, if you would like to, feel free to write me back. Let me know if you decide to go on the date or not, or what happens with this guy. At the end of every episode, we are going to play a game. I love games. I am a child. So, we're going to do some trivia today. So, the answer to the trivia is actually going to be revealed at the top of the next episode. So, you have to stick around with us in order to find the answer. Um, this week, the question is, on average, the amount of time it takes to make a first impression on a man is 15 minutes. What is the average amount of time it takes to make a first impression on a woman? Is it A, 5 minutes, B, 15 minutes, C, 45 minutes, or D, 1 hour? You'll have to stay tuned and listen to the next episode to get your answer. Before you go, make sure to share this episode, subscribe, rate, leave us a review, throw me some comments on social, show me some love, guys. This is the first episode and I'm super excited. So I hope you loved it and stick around for the next show.